excited. This is a November to remember. I love November. Can y'all see that wreath? Let me see my finger. See that wreath over there on the mirror? Y'all, it's massive. It's this big and it's fresh. It's full of eucalyptus and beautiful. And it came last night from Nathan to say thank you in the month of November, to say, you know, gratitude for our leadership, especially through the season, because our company is not just surviving, but we are thriving through this COVID season when so many other companies have shut down. And I'm just going to tell you, when I open it, the smell, it fills my whole house, and it's fall colors. I may move the computer later and let you see it up close, but it made me so happy to just be appreciated for what we're doing to lead this company, what you're doing to plug in this morning on your Saturday morning, to learn, to drink in, to understand your funnel is open, arms wide open, and looking up to the heavens. Say, okay, God, I am ready. Pour it in. You know, I am not just, you know, praising the Lord for the day, but I am expecting miracles to pour over me. And Mary Kay's plaque on her desk says, around here we're realists. We expect a miracle every day. And somehow through this crazy world of doom and gloom, I just really recommend you just block out the noise and live in your spirit of gratitude. And November is the month of gratitude. Now, Monica's in the Netherlands, so you don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. That's an American holiday, but it's still, we can say November to remember that we're going to be grateful. Nothing will give you more energy than a spirit of gratitude. We all can make a list of what we could have, should have done, and we fall into the guilt and shame, which will suck your energy out. And y'all know I love this little Image of Excellence book. It's not in print anymore. I found about 30 of them and gave them away for seminar. But if you can find it, you can find it someplace. But every day, and this one says on this day 14, there are 5 ways to have divine momentum in your life. Number 1, be fruitful. You know, it truly is in the chase. God blesses your busyness, not your busyness, it's the chase. And number 2, speak the truth. Be fruitful, 2 Corinthians 9:10. Speak the truth, Ephesians 4:15. Be spiritually mature, Hebrews 6:1. Crave the word of God, crave wisdom, 1 Peter 2:2. And number 5, grow in grace and the knowledge of the Lord, 2 Peter 3:18. So we can create, it talks about creating spiritual momentum, which is found in 2 Peter 1:5. For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, then they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive. So let go of whatever makes you stop. So no matter what you're grabbing, it's just vital that you realize that if you don't pour good stuff into your body, your engine's not going to run well. Food is fuel. Food is not pleasure. I mean, it can be, of course, but I always say a moment on the lips, you know, lifetime on the hips. I have to tell myself, because I love all the bad stuff. And I say all the time, no matter how good this tastes, it doesn't feel as good as putting on my jeans. So start affirming all areas of your life that you want to be healthy, right? And so it's just pure joy. Most of you know that Stacy James is in the house. And so we are truly really good friends. Stacy James, let's just give it up. Let's give it up for Stacy James. Woo-hoo. The dynamic duo. I've never done a side-by-side.
Not like one of these venues.
Yeah.
This is very fun. Hi, guys. Good morning. Happy Saturday. And I was not complaining about early morning this morning. It's just that she gives me a hard time, because on Monday mornings, my director calls at 9. And anytime I've ever had her on, she's like, why do you do that at 9 o'clock? And this morning I was like, this is at 8. I'm so happy to be with you, though. This is great. I'm a happy morning girl.
She is. She gets up singing, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it."
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to share maybe a little bit. I'm going to go through some of the logistics tomorrow. We can all order. You know, Star Consultants could order on the 10th. You know, Mary Kay honors the leadership that you are doing in your business, but everyone can order tomorrow. It's the the holiday season. So it's really important that we talk about logistics and the basics. You know, we just don't live in a pink bubble where we can listen to all this motivational stuff and not put it into action. In the word, it says, faith without action is dead. And Mary Kay, without action is not going to work. You have to go keep your day job. So we want to teach you the balance between, you know, making a living and making a life. Making a living and making a life, because it's your one dang life. And I think the older we get, the more we realize we better tap it out and embrace the moment. And so I'm gonna halt for a minute, because I'm gonna go through logistics and product, and you know, I'm the selling machine. And so, but I think to start too this morning, I didn't realize really how much I missed connection. We have become isolated, but also mentally blocking out the fact that it's hurting us, because we can't face the truth. Because what are we going to do about it? Really, there's nothing we can do about it. And so us being together, and when Stacy, Dean's in Costa Rica and he had a great fishing day. Thank you, Jesus. Everybody say, praise the Lord. Wait, let's just give it up. Praise the Lord for Dean. He had an awesome fishing day, and he needed a victory. COVID's been hard on him. He couldn't go. Anyway, whatever. He found his victory yesterday on the waters. And I really did pray, God, just give him a blessed day, because that would make his spirit soar. And oh my God, he had the best fishing day, 40 miles out into that crystal blue water in Costa Rica. So he's a happy camper. And he was gone. And Stacy was like, man, let's get together this weekend. I want to come down. And I was like, well, come on down. But at first I was like, oh, I have all this stuff planned. That's true, right? My knee-jerk reaction was, but then once she got here.
Who would say no to me coming down?
No, it wasn't that. it was just, you know how it wasn't on our calendar, right? It was a shift. But what we've done last night and this morning is brainstorming, created so much activity to plan 2021 so that we can be strategic and proactive, not just gather as friends. So we created for communion. You guys joining us on Super Saturdays is so important to pour into you, so you can have the energy and the strategy and the wisdom to pour into others. So we're excited about the new year, and excited about, I appreciate her reminding me how important it was for us to get together and to brainstorm and to be together. So we're very much alike, but we're also very different. And so find your power partner, right? Somebody that you can bounce ideas off with, because that's energy giving, and it'll help you be your best. And it is my final year. So we're going to plan out 2021, how we can partner up together to make it more fun,
right,
and also more productive,
right. But you know, the rest of the world doesn't always think about spirit soaring. So when Cindy talks about that, we've had a lifetime that's been our gift. That has been our blessing because of Mary Kay. I mean, oftentimes people are in jobs, or they're working out of obligation to their bills, obligation to the job. And when we entered into this company and this opportunity, it turned obligation into dream. Like we operate out of the desire for a dream, and our dreams, we know, are not only the potential of what we have in front of us that we can design, that our life gets to look like a life of our spirit soaring, like really understanding what that means. But in addition to that is that when you have a dream and you're going to have a dream, you ignite other people's hearts and they start to uncover their dreams. It's almost as if we not only give them permission to go after a dream, to figure out what energizes, like what did God plant inside of me, that when I'm connected to it, like I come alive because I was born for it. I was born for that purpose. I was born to deliver that. I was born to operate in those talents and those skills and those giftings and to bring that to the world. What's phenomenal about how this company was created, because we know he's the one who created it, is that every part of this is in line with that. I mean, no matter what our giftings are, we bring it to this, and we are connected to women in all kinds of different ways. You're connected them to serve from your heart, to share the product so that they feel good about themselves. We're connected to their heart because we get to share encouraging words that inspire their belief in themselves. And we get to develop an atmosphere and an environment where women can thrive. And we can do it physically, and we can do it on Zoom because energy and frequency goes, it's airwaves in the world, and that's how the Holy Spirit operates in the world. He's in our hearts, and he's in the atmosphere, and that gets to be a part of what we do. So we get to figure out what causes us to come alive, and then we get to ignite other people's hearts doing so. What a gift is that? What a way to live. I am so grateful that I've had this company in my life. I can't imagine my life would have been out of regulatory strategies and somebody else's job description. And instead it's been based on one dream after another dream after another dream, and then living for other women's dreams. That is beyond conversation sometimes, beyond a description.
For the younger consultants too, younger in Mary Kay and even in life, we were in our 20s. Both of us started in 1981. So I was 25. You were probably 20,
I was 23.
23, right? And so you see us today, you know, as Inner Circle National Sales Directors, but we all start the same. And we all really have the same fears and obstacles to overcome, maybe a little bit different, but really, Stacy was talking last night that somehow we figured it out, you know. So I just want you to stop, drop, and roll right now, November 14th, with approaching the highest selling season of the year. And we are in sales, SALES. We are sales directors, national sales directors. So it all starts with selling the product. Then we can sell ourselves that it works.
Right.
That's really why we sell the product. We sell ourselves that it works so that we can give the same opportunity we were given away. And Stacy was teaching school full time. So tell them a little bit, because that new consultant that's on, a lot of y'all are new, or some of you need to pretend like you're new. For real, whether you restart, right? Today can be the day, because both of us, this is the best season. If you're not going to launch in mid-November, you may not launch, because this is, you're going into the best opportunity. Also, November is the month of gratitude and gratefulness. The leaves change, the weather changes. People naturally are in a spirit of receiving, just like in spring. There's the times of year that people, because of the weather actually, and the environment. So this is a time when I really want you to think about the next 6 weeks. What can you plan and accomplish? And maybe lead generation is where you're weak. How are you going to get those bookings? Or maybe it's when you get them on the Zoom, your sales aren't what you wanted them to be. So searching out to think who is selling. Last Saturday, we had Heather Faring, who sold $10,000 last month, lives in a town of 100 people in North Dakota, this far from Canada. I can just see her like almost with snowshoes trudging through to deliver the lip gloss, you know?
Right.
But she was our teacher. So we've had experiences for you to listen to, a Zoom person, a Facebook party, all these different people. And all of that is on Cindy Williams NSD under training. If you don't know, if you want to go back and re-listen to some things. And the password is lowercase victory, the word victory, which is, everybody knows that's our symbol. So it's here for you to gather the examples, then I filter it through who you are and how you work to apply it to your own business. But we have no really excuse that I don't know what to do, because there's so many people out there doing it in their own way, completely different, whether it's a Zoom or a Facebook. And many of us are still doing in-person appointments. So I just challenge you to think about narrowing into what's going to work for you in the next 6 weeks. So when January 1, 2021 hits, you are feeling victorious, that you have figured it out for the 6 months, and you're ready to make this really the best year of your life. It's going to be the best year of my life. I can promise you that. And so looking back on how did this start? How did we launch it in the beginning? What we had to, time management, money management, planning, So I know you didn't even have your $85 to get your starter kit.
I did not. So, and very far in debt, and not living in an environment that I was loving. 2-bedroom apartment, gross yellow carpeting, 1 car with a hole in the floorboard. Those of you who know the story. But there's a TD Jakes quote that I love. That is, actually, I have it right here. We don't change anything. Okay. We don't change anything by fighting an existing reality. That was my existing reality. My existing reality is that we were not even living paycheck to paycheck. We were trying to figure out how to do this juggle, because some things could get paid, not everything could get paid. It was like beat the bank, because back then we used to do that with checks, write a check, then get the money in there. It was just a constant struggle. And that just takes up a lot of not only your head space, because you're always on, how can I afford this? How can we make this happen? How can we push this together? But it also creates a lot of emotional stress, because you're fighting a resisting reality. And so the rest of his quote is, we don't change anything by fighting an existing reality. To change something, you build a new model in your life. I didn't know how to build a new model in my life. I knew that I was doing the best I could with the situation I was in, and that I was teaching school, and that that's what I wanted to do. And I had done everything right as far as my plan for my life. Like, I had gone to college, graduated from college, first person in my family had graduated from college, got my teaching degree, got a job in my field. Like, I got the teaching job, yay. I'm doing what I love to do. And yet we were operating in a place that was small and struggle. And so then it was, well, then what do you do? So I started working on my master's degree. Like, I just started a little bit on master's, because that was like the hope for the future that could change. And I was putting more money into that than I was ever going to get out for years to come, actually, and time away from my family. So Brian was in college full time. He was in pre-med. So he was like all up in that. And so we were in one car. So in the mornings when we get up, and it was freezing cold in Nebraska, and he'd put on his parka, because he'd been in the Air Force. So he had like his Army fatigue stuff. He had his parka. I had a parka on, because a car with a hole in the floorboard is not a warm car. And then we bundled Jennifer all up. She was, when we got married, she was 4 years old, and take her to kinder care, take Brian to the university, and then I would drive and I would teach school, get out of school, go pick her up, pick him up, come home, grade papers, do bulletin boards, dinner, bath time, read her stories, and then I would stay up working on curriculum stuff. So that was our life. So when Mary Kay came into my life, it was because I had a line in the sand moment. So when it says don't fight an existing reality, that's all I knew to do, was to fight that existing reality. And then our car broke down. And the line in the sand moment was that this can't keep happening. Like, we can't keep living this way. Something's got to change. And my dad raised me as an entrepreneur with, if you keep doing what you're currently doing in your life, you're going to keep getting what you're currently getting. That, he ingrained that in my brain when I was in high school. He said it all the time. And I always thought, I don't know what you're talking about. You know how your parents say things and it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, you're not adapting that to your situation. Well, he prepared that in my heart for that moment in time, because we couldn't keep doing what we were currently doing. Something needed to change. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. So the line in the sand moment was what I needed, because I know that God always has our answers. He always has our solutions. It's an unceasing, never-ending supply of the resources that he's provided for our life, because our life is about connecting to resources, open doors, people connections. It's infinite. There's no end to that. So when Cindy said, we feel like we are operating small in a situation, like, who do I do? Where do I find leads? There's always leads. It's how are you going to find them? There's always people. How are you going to connect to them? And when you're feeling stuck and your brain is not, then do the next thing. Well, what's the next thing I can do? Or who can show me a new way that I can do this, and I can meet more women? But then this was the other interesting part. When I got mad about that line in the sand, and I was like, something's got to change, then Mary Kay walked into my life. Like, when I stomped my foot and said, enough is enough. I'm not going to continue like this. I don't know what needs to change. We're doing the best that we can, and Brian couldn't slow down and take a job, because when you're in pre-med, that's not possible. So it was like, so this was, except that the all was available to me. I just was not receiving it. So the cool thing is that you have all received it. You've all said, here's an opportunity is an invitation to change or upgrade your life, elevate your life into a whole nother place where there's so many other things possible. So when I started this, here's the other thing my dad said to me, because we went to lunch. My dad and I sat down for lunch because Karen had gone through the marketing plan with me. She had the little paper. She had a sheet of paper. She had her recruiting notebook, but she had a sheet of paper that said dual marketing plan at the top of it. And she gave it to me. She had hers. And as she went through the numbers, she had me write them down too. Now I'm a school teacher, so I loved that. I was like, so this makes sense to me when I'm writing this out, like 3 parties a week and $200 average sale in a party. So that would be $600 for the week. And then your profit's 50%. And that means you would make, $300. I was like, well, oh my gosh. And then she explained how the customers work and the reorders work. And then she explained the team. And she wrote 1, 2, 3, like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a piece of paper. And then she said, okay, put down 5 women. Just make up the women if you want to. Put your friends' names in those spaces. And so I wrote, actually my first one was Lori, and then I wrote Susan, and then I wrote Angie. And so I wrote my friends' names down, and she said, okay, here's the deal. So you have Laurie on your team, you're doing this, and she's excited. She jumps on board, and she's going to sell product, order product, sell product, order product, sell product, order product. And every time she orders product, you're going to get a 4% commission check. And then that 4% commission check, you're going to get the same thing on, because when Susan starts operating her business and Angie operates her business and number 4 person operates her business, 4%, she wrote it all the way down. And she said, here's what, you're not responsible for how much activity they do, and you're not responsible for getting them to do the activity. The good news is that as they make money, you'll get a commission check. And they're going to be motivated to make money. Some of them will make a lot. Some of them will do a little. Some of them will kind of fizzle. Somebody will go for the moon. Whatever it is, you're making 4%. But then here's the cool part. You're your 5th person, and you've given yourself, you get to promote yourself. Promote yourself. And that 4% turns to 9% on all 5 of them. Automatically, bam, with your 5th one. So why would you wait to get to the 5th one? Like, why would you just have 1 for a very long time? Why would you even have 3 for it? Except now you get bonuses, right? So now your red jacket, bam, you get a bonus on top of that, baby. And you get bonuses all over the place now. We didn't get bonuses. We got commissions. We didn't get bonuses. And then you can make 13%. So she was like, do you want to know how to make 13%? I was like, yes. So then she said, well, you don't want to stop at 5. Get 6, 7, 8 women. And then it's very likely that at least 5 of them are ordering in 1 month, and you're placing your order and you make 13% on top of your sales, on top of your. So then my dad sat down with me as I'm explaining this to him, and he's like, okay, here's this dollar bill. This is the dollar bill that so many of you have seen that she had on this piece of paper. So he got into the dollar bill. I was like, not really even understanding the dollar bill that much. He said, this is your profit. That's what it said. It said your profit. This, it said MK profit. Here's the company's profit. He goes, so first of all, you make 50%. That's like unbelievable. But he said, then that 4% that you just explained to me, like that comes out of the company's profit. So out of the company's profit, they're now paying you. This is available to you. So, and then bonuses, and then car programs, and then all of this. So he said, this is what this marketing plan tells me. It tells me that this company was not created for the sake of a company or for the sake of Mary Kay Ash to be just put a lot of money in her pocket. She created this so that you would be successful. So that you would make a lot of money. Because if that was not her intention, this would be backwards. This all would go into the company's profit, and you'd only be making this. If she intended this for her, you would only be making 20%. Like, she's giving you 50%. That means she wants you to make money. And then she's making all of this available.
out of their half.
Out of their half. So these were the numbers he figured out, which are not really accurate numbers, but the concept is accurate. When he figured this out, he said the company runs on 21 cents on the dollar and then pumps all the rest of it back into you, 79 cents of every dollar back into the sales force in availability. So he said, Stacy, like, my best advice to you is not only jump into this, but like, give this your all. Give this your all, because this is just going to get better for you. It's going to turn from 50% into then 54%, and then it's just going to get better for you. And then my best advice is don't ever quit, because the more that you do, the more that you build. So then this was the other concept he taught me, the difference between addition and multiplication. He said, you facial one woman, that's addition. She hostesses a party for you and introduces you to 5 other women that you never would have met, but they're her friends, they're her family members, they're people she goes to church with. That's multiplication. So he said, this is brilliant, because you don't have to go find 6 women, you find one. One woman introduces you to 5 other women, and then of course it's the tangible product, or it's a consumable product. So they're using it up and they're needing more. So that's brilliant also. But here's the other addition, part of the equation. He said, anytime you can multiply something, you add strength to it. So he said, when you recruit someone, make sure they recruit someone. And he said, it has nothing to do with you making money on them recruiting someone. It has to do with that God created everything in multiplication. Everything is in abundance. So when one person blesses, you bless another person, and that person blesses another person. So he explained the concept of you want to help your people set up themselves up for success, and they want to build their teams at the same time, because that's going to create great strength in what you're creating, your organization, so to speak. But he didn't use that word either. He didn't even use the word entrepreneur, because back then that wasn't a word. Business owner, because he was a business owner. He owned a business. So, and his business was home building. So it's not like he had a storefront business. He had a business that was growing, like he created it. So this is what I did. I sat in the pit, and he told me to sit on this front row of the success meetings. He goes, always be on the front row. Always be in the front row, because they need to know that you're serious. Wow. And that they will take you seriously if you are serious. But if you're like, you just kind of show up whenever you show up, and you just kind of sit in the back and you're not engaged, then why would they pay attention to you? Make sure they pay attention to you. So I sat in the front row, and I had my first recruit. I did 3 marketing plans before my starter kit arrived, because that's how my director did it back then. She said, here's your pearl earrings. We're going to do 3 marketing plans before your starter kit hits your doorstep. And I had my first recruit. And then I had my pearls of sharing, my like stranded pearls. So I had my first recruit. Her name was Marilyn. And then Marilyn got a recruit, because my dad told me to say, Marilyn, you got to do that. Well, Karen was doing that with her, but I encouraged her also. Now you're going to do your 3. And she got her recruit. And then I got another recruit. She got a recruit. And then it just kept multiplying. Do you want me to stop? No? Okay.
No, I was reading the comments. No.
Okay, so tell me when to stop.
Well, I want you to talk about, because we talked about this. How did you get your money? You're broke as a joke. Brian's in school. Jennifer's poor. You're freezing cold. You didn't have it was $85 in the early 80s. Now it's $100. But how did you get the money? Because it's the grit and the grace. We all have grace, but you got to find your grit. And, stepping into making the decision, which both of us had to get our money. We have a lot of similarities. We had to fight. We did have to get started. And so how did you, here you are, you don't have any money. How'd you get your $100 for your starter kit?
Okay. So when I sat in front of Brian and I said, I want to do this Mary Kay thing. Actually, I'd already signed the agreement. I gave her the check, but I said, don't cash it. Don't send it in. I don't have $85. It's a promissory note. So I got to figure out a way to get $85. And I sat in front of Brian. He said to me, well, so you already complain already that you don't have enough time with Jennifer and I. So now you're going to do something in addition and take time away from us. Wow. And I was prepared, because I knew that he would give me the real stuff, because my husband's the thinker, I'm the feeler. I knew that he would, and I'm the dreamer, and he was from a military background. So it's black and white. Yeah, he was like, it's either reasonable and logical or it's not. And he married someone who's not reasonable or logical at all. So I'm the optimist of all time, and I believe in all things possible. And I've lived it. That's what my life has looked like. So I kind of like brought him into this. He had no choice but started to change his mentality. However, at the beginning, his mentality was, here's the deal. And where are you going to find the clothes for this? And where are you going to, like, we have one car. Where are you? And I was ready for that because I knew when I got home, he was going to give me all the reasons why I couldn't. So I needed to be prepared. And all I said was, I don't have the answers to all your questions, Brian. I just know that we can't stay in this situation. And if we do, it's just going to get worse and we're going to sink. So somebody's got to do something, and I'm excited about this. And he said, okay. So he didn't give me like his blessing. He kind of gave me his permission. But, I really didn't need his permission because we're in this together. I mean, so anyway, so then the question was, so what do I do? Well, the reason I'm telling you that is because I had to waitress for 2 weekends to come up with my money for my starter kit. And when I was in college, I worked at Goldberg's Bar and Grill, 132nd and Center Street in Omaha, Nebraska. It's still there, Goldberg's Bar and Grill. And so I called the guy who is the owner and I said, I need to just come in for 2 weekends. But because I had to come in on Friday night and I worked from 5 o'clock until 1 a.m. on Friday night, I cleaned the ashtrays. I put the ketchup in the ketchup bottles. I know I did. Oh my gosh. The ashtrays were the worst part at night, like cleaning all those babies out and wiped down every single salt and pepper shaker. We put all the chairs on the table. So I worked all those hours waitressing like crazy and then did all of that. So I would get home at 2 a.m. And then I worked all day Saturday. So I could get I did it for 2 weekends to get my $85 cash in my hand to get that starter kit. So I took more time away from my family in those 2 weekends than I did in my Mary Kay business when I started it, to get my money to get a starter kit. And when I handed that money to Karen, I said to her, I have bills to pay. And I'm handing you this cash. And I worked really hard to get this cash. And we have an electric bill that's due. Like I have bills to pay. She said, Stacy, I understand. But if you take this money and you put it on the bills that you need to pay right now, then it'll be gone and you will still have bills. But if you buy a starter kit with this, you're going to make more $85 and more $85 and more $85. And you're going to get yourself out of debt. And so I handed it to her. I knew that, but I was scared. Sometimes our faith is there. We need someone to ignite it in us for us to get past the fear and to know sometimes we need someone to say, you made the right decision.
Right. Like my mom. I wrote a warm check for my $85 starter kit the night I was introduced to it. I look back and I think, how it makes me cry too. How in the world did I get exposed to that? But how many other people went to a meeting? How many other people went to your director's meeting? How many other people didn't go out and get their money for their starter kit and never knew what they could have done? Or how many other people got their starter kit and put it in the corner, put a plan on it? The box,
Right.
The vision. But here's the message from both of us is we were exposed, and then the similarities start showing up. Are you a find a way, make a way person? Victim or victor? Better or bitter? Really, it's all in your mental state first. And, so many people say, what are you going to train on? Show me how to do it. And I'm like, how you think is really more important because when you get the how to and the thinking, it's success. But I wrote a check for my starter kit the night I was exposed. I went to a silly meeting. Jackie Swank was the sales director. The girl that recruited me only stayed in for maybe a few weeks or months. I don't remember, but she gave it to me. She exposed me. I fell in love that night. My spirit soared. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't understand marketing plan. I really still don't. And I didn't understand product. I didn't understand any of it, but it made me feel so happy to be invited, included, accepted. I had a stirring in my spirit. I just went with it. And then I didn't have $100. And so I wrote a check for it. You could beat the bank back then. And I said, I didn't tell Jackie not to cash it, but I knew it couldn't get to Dallas that fast. And so I went home and told several people, and they said, bad idea, bad idea. Kind of like, not exactly like Brian and Stacy, because he believed in her. He just wasn't sure of the opportunity. My situation was mostly didn't believe in me. It's okay. Just, it's a fact.
Right.
Didn't understand the market opportunity. It doesn't matter what
Right.
your obstacle. They can be different, but how do you respond is the difference.
It is.
Whoa.
It is.
Right?
Right.
So my mom loaned me $100 and I got my starter
And she
kit.
said to you, baby,
you can do anything. You've worked hard your whole life. Because I said, Mom, I've made a decision tonight and I'm scared. I don't think I can do it. And, you know, my husband, my sisters, nobody thinks I can do it. The people I asked were the people I admired the most and loved me the most, I thought. So they did it out of protection. They were telling me what they thought was best for me. So don't judge them. But it sank me. I was barely having enough confidence to do it on my own inspiration I had received. And be careful who you ask.
Right.
Because in their goal to protect me, they deflated me. So once again, I needed one person and I called my mom and she said, baby, you've worked hard your whole life. You could do anything. And if Becky is what you want to do, you'll be great. You want me to have one of those parties for you, honey? I said, yeah, Mama, that'd be great. And I said, by the way, I wrote this tonight for that Mary Kay starter kit. I'll have $100. And she said, well, you just come on over here in the morning, because my mom always had $100 bill stuck in a crevice. We went to dinner last night. This is so fun. And we both have credit cards. We paid for our dinner. And then we right across the street, there's this outdoor music, like James Taylor guitar, just so fun. We sat there and listened to music. And so we wanted to tip the guy, and Stacy said, well, I don't bring any cash. And I was like, man, I folded
Oh
it.
my gosh. She opened it up and like, give me some of that. That's so fun. I love cash. Who doesn't love cash?
My mom taught me, because we were always getting abandoned. Y'all know some of my history. She was like, never go anywhere without cash. I mean, I'm never going to be a victim to that. I mean, so that my brain, I always have cash, always stashed. And I even have cash in my glove box in my car.
Thanks for letting me know.
Stashed. Because I never know when I'm going to be in a bind, you guys. I have protection mode from all those years.
It's so fun. Oh, and then, so I was telling Sydney that even though my dad was like on board and, you know, Brian came along because we went out to dinner with some of my girlfriends.
Ooh.
Went out to dinner with my girlfriends, sat around the table, and he said, so Stacy's getting started in a new business, and one at a time around the table, they said, 39 years ago, my girlfriends, there were 5 of them around the table. And they were like, well, if you're going to spend more time, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? Everybody had an opinion of what to do. Not one of them said, I think that's a great idea. Not one of them said, I'll have a party for you. Not one of them said, I've heard great things about that company. They just all really kicked on my wow. But when we walked out, it made Brian mad. So he grabbed my shoulders when we walked out the door. We waited till they all left. He just kept holding my leg, like, let him go. They left. And then we walked out, and he turned me around and he said, I don't want you to listen to a single thing that your friends just said to you, because if you've ever noticed, your friends complain all the time. Like, they complain about their jobs. They complain about their husbands. They're complaining about anything. He goes, and I've never, ever seen them do anything in their life to change what they have complained about. And we don't know if you're going to be successful at this Mary Kay thing, but you made a decision, and I am proud of you. And that was like it. It took them being mean to me, really, that was rude. And for him to get mad about it and say, I'm on your side. So it was like, yay, thank you, God, I'm on your side. But my mom was not. And she was my one who I really wanted to be on my side, because my mom was like my bestest friend and my confidant. And she was really scared. Wow. She was excited I had a teaching job. She was excited I went to college. And now I've got this thing that I'm all excited about that's not in alignment with my career field. And then when I left my teaching job, she was so upset with me. But here's what's so important about that, because years later, my dad passed away at 56.
Wow.
And the housing industry in 1976 we had a huge recession. Everything fell apart. My dad had a subdivision of homes that he was building. And when everything started falling apart, the bank called in all the notes and my parents had to declare bankruptcy. So they lost their beautiful home. They lost their cars. So here's my mom. My dad passed away and she's living with my grandmother. And I'm a brand new national sales director at that point in time. And Brian said, we need to have your mom move in with us. And we need to get her a new car. And we need to change some rooms around so she has a suite. And so we did that. And we took my mom shopping and bought all new beautiful things for her and her furniture and her. So, so the deal is that sometimes the people who don't understand are the people who will benefit the most from you not letting go of your dream or not letting go of an open door, because it's not about fitting into everybody's ideology of how your life should go. Your life is not up for committee vote. But back then, this was non-traditional. Right. Now we're a little bit more like you can create new things, try new things, start new businesses. Back then, women did not start businesses for themselves. So this was totally bucking the system. But there's one more story I want to tell you, and that was when I wanted to get inventory. So here's the deal. I got my money from my starter kit. Karen sat down with Brian and I, and she went through inventory with us. Piece of paper, went through the whole thing with us, and it made sense to me, but it scared me because I knew that we had a lot of debt. We had a Sears, a Penny's, a Visa, a MasterCard charged to the max.
Wow.
We had 2 student loans that we were paying on. And that car, the car payment on a car falling apart. So we were in a mess. So all I could think of was, I can't even afford all of this. How in the world am I going to get inventory? I'm glad that I didn't know about inventory when I started. I do a starter kit because that's the only thing necessary. Inventory is an option. Right. If Karen would have gone through all that information with me ahead of time, it would have scared me to death. I needed to make one decision at a time. I made the decision about the starter kit. Inventory was my choice. She went through the information. Brian was not afraid of it. He looked at it and he goes, if you don't have product, because I was like, I'm going to do a party and I'm going to see how much I can sell. And he was like, why in the world would you do that? Why would you spend time doing a party and not ever really know how much you would have sold if you had the product there? If you had a product there, you're going to sell a heck of a lot more than if you don't have the product there, because women like their hands on things. And I don't think he said women. He just was like, it's tangible. Let's get over that fear. And he was like, he's like, set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for success. So he was all over it. I was like, nah, not doing it. Then I went to a Saturday success meeting. Deb Pike was doing the success meeting. My director was out of town. Deb Pike. I don't know how many of you know Deb Pike.
She's awesome.
National sales director, Emeriti now. She was standing up front, see her so vividly. The director suits were terracotta.
That's when I recruited Jackie's director suit.
Yeah.
Miss Jackie looks so good in it because she has red hair. Probably she was the only one that looked great in it.
Exactly. The blondes did
yeah,
not.
Deb was blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah. And she's standing up front, she's got a little terracotta. And I walk in the door, wayside in, 80th and Dodge Street, like this little hotel. And she comes off the stage over to greet me because Karen told her I was coming, and Karen told her that she got through inventory and that I was going to make a decision. So she walked right up to me. She goes, "You're Stacy James." And I said, yeah, I am. And she said, "So Karen told me you're coming. Welcome. We're going to do skincare class training this morning." And she said, "You're going to make a decision on your inventory." And I said, "Oh, Deb, I can't get it. I can't get inventory. I just can't get inventory right now." This is what she said to me. She grabbed my hands. She looked into my eyes. She squeezed my hands and she said, "I know you're going to figure out a way because this is important." And then she turned and walked away. I mean, she walked away. Oh, I said, Deb walked away like this. That's how she walked. And now here's the lesson. She could have enabled me and she could have said, "Oh, I understand. Sometimes it just doesn't work. So this is how we'll start. Then we'll start small and we'll build." She did not say that to me. "You're going to figure out a way." If she would have known my financial situation, she probably would have said, "I don't know how you're going to do it either." But she didn't know that. And she wouldn't have bothered her either because she was a make a way, find a way woman. And she had to figure out how she was going to get inventory. When she started this, she was a business teacher at a business school, and she had 2 jobs. And so now she figured out a way to get it. So, okay. So then I went home after I watched her teach the skincare class, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to figure out a way. I need to figure out a way. I need to figure out a way. I went home and I said to Brian, we need to figure out a way. He's like, that's what I said. It's like, I know, but like Devine told me. So then now my creative juices are going. See, we say like, we think we have roadblocks. We don't have roadblocks. We just have chose like, so when you feel stuck, you're not really, you haven't reached the end of your potential. You've reached the end of your potential of your willingness to get past that roadblock. That's what's happened. I needed to get past the roadblock. So then I was like, okay, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Well, my grandmother had money in CDs. And I knew that because we'd had conversations. So I sat down with my grandmother and I said, here's the deal. I'm starting this new business. I do not want you to give me money or loan me money for this. But if you would consider allowing me to use the CD as collateral. And then her money's just right there. And I've got a 90% buyback guarantee on this inventory. So I'm not going to be risking anything. Would you help me? And she was like, absolutely. So the bank that we went to where I got my inventory from, that they use that as collateral, is still there. The apartment complex that we were living in with the 2-bedroom apartment with gross yellow carpeting is still there. And my daughter's training center today, where she parks her pink Cadillac, my daughter who was not born yet, is across the street. And when Whitney took me to her training center, she didn't know that's where the apartment was. She didn't know that's where the bank was. She took me to her training center. She said, Mom, I'm so excited about this training center. We drove there in her pink Cadillac and my pink Escalade because I was going to leave town after she took me there. I was headed back to Oklahoma City. We drove into that training center. I looked at the training center. I got out of the car and I walked over to her. And I had tears literally running down my face. I said, turn around. And she said, what? And I said, that's the apartment building. That's the bank. Oh my gosh. And now my daughter has a training center. She's driving a Cadillac, who wasn't even born yet. Do you not think God has a plan of connection, of one thing that leads to the other, that leads to the other, to leads the other? His message to me was like, see, you had the grit, you had the gumption, you had the courage, you made it happen, you figured it out, and now your daughter's life is blessed because of this. But it's not just my daughter, obviously. Look at this, globally. When we were having dinner last night, we were sitting next to a gentleman who's asking us a bunch of questions. And he's like, so does this mean you guys have global businesses? We're like, yeah. Like, who would have thought that?
So, okay, wait. This is so good because I don't really know the whole story. But guess what? I got my money from my mom. Then I understood inventory. Jackie explained it. Nobody had to convince me. It was common sense. I needed to set myself up for success. My self-esteem was very low, but my confidence was high. And I knew I was willing to do the work, but I needed everything in my favor. And I knew that if I had product there, I could set a pretty table, I could offer on the spot delivery, I could get some to use myself. So I wanted the product, but then how was I going to get it? I had no money and I had no credit, not good or bad. It's 1981, I just didn't have any. And so I went and I asked my husband. He said the first word on that agreement is independent. So that means if you can't figure out a way to start your own business, you probably don't need to have one. Which was, I said, okay, that's a fact. So there was no way that help was going to come there. So then I thought, well, I'll go to the bank and I'll ask for a loan. And Mr. Droughty at Merchants and Farmers Bank in Leesville, Louisiana, the bank is still there. I went and said, I'd like to borrow money. I wanted to be a star consultant. And he said, no problem. You just need your husband to co-sign for you. Well, that was a problem because he would not. So then what was I going to do? So then I thought, well, my mom would. But my mom was overextended. We'd always, been financially solid, never was late on a bill. My mom was the most amazing woman, and she lived within her means her whole life. Never, ever didn't pay her bills. We have high integrity in that. But when you have more going out than you have coming in, then you can't co-sign. And just like your grandmother, I didn't ask for the money. I just needed somebody to sign for me.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? My mom and dad divorced when I was 6. He'd never been a part of my life financially or physically, but he had credit and he lived in Leesville. By then I lived, that's a whole nother story. And I went to my dad and said, I just need you to co-sign for me. Here's Mary Kay's agreement. It offers 90% buyback. And my dad said, I really only co-sign for 10%. Mm-hmm. And I said, you're right. And he co-signed for me and I got my money. And then I was so determined to make my dad proud, since he had never, ever gone to bat for me before. That will to please him and serve him caused me to set a goal to pay that loan off in 3 months. And it was $2,500 at 18% interest in 1981. And just like Stacy, I want to talk about how did you get started then on your 3 parties on Saturday? Because we both had to go get in the field, you guys. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just being positive and like a petunia, a little flower out there. We had to go have some grit and talk to people and book the parties and face the rejection and not know what we were doing. But my dad co-signed for me was probably the greatest motivator. If I'd have just had the money, maybe I wouldn't have been so driven. But I decided I was going to sell $400 in 1981 every single week. And I did. So you sell 400 a week in 4 weeks, that's 1,600 a month, just like her marketing plan said. And I didn't care if I had to do 10 parties. That didn't matter to me. What I had to do to get there was irrelevant. Mm-hmm. I didn't care what I had to do. I was going to do it. It was there when the will is strong enough, the how-to comes. And in 3 months, if you sell 400 times 4, 1,600, 800 went to the loan, 800 went to replace my inventory. At the end of 3 months, I had paid it off, $2,500. Mm-hmm. So I continued with that. The 4th month, now I had $800 working capital. I was super smart from the beginning.
That was smart.
I never commingled my money. I never, ever, I always kept it separate, and I never bought inventory that I didn't pay for. I always sold enough, right? So now I have I have no debt. I have a shelf full of product and I have $800 working capital. So now I could pay for seminar or buy a new little dress. I didn't have any clothes. So those are healthy habits that we had from the beginning. And then how did I get the 400? I don't really remember. I just knew I had to. It was Christmas selling. You know, my mom held my first party. My mom invited her friends over and they had their makeup on like crazy, hair teased, eyebrows laid. Oh my God, thick makeup. And I looked at them, I was like, oh, sweet Jesus, they're going to take that stuff off and they will never look like that again because I don't even know what I'm doing at all. But the miracle happened that a woman that knows how to put all that makeup on can take it all off and put it right back on. She didn't need you to know anything. You just put the product out there. So they all bought stuff. I'm sure my mother said, you better show up and you better buy something for my baby. She's scared. So I had a successful party. 2 of my mom's friends booked a party. And then I memorized my flip chart. True story. I was so afraid of looking like a fool in front of people that I memorized my entire flip chart. I took it into the deer stand every morning for 3 hours, sitting in the deer stand, and every afternoon for 3 hours, and I memorized it. We went hunting for a week. I joined December 8th. We went hunting for Christmas for the week. By the time I got home in January, I knew my flip chart. I knew my presentation because it's one lesson plan, people. So if you're not sure about what to say, go look it up. Go download your apps. There's even an app now, which you can show people videos on the product. Holy moly.
I know.
But that awesome. Confidence from being competent helped me to go forward.
Right.
So how did you do your 3 parties?
Okay. So I did, back then a perfect start was 5 parties in a week.
Right. Book 8, hold 5.
8, hold 5. And some directors, you had to, as a new consultant, you had to book your parties with your hostesses before the starter kit. Yeah, starter kit would go to their house, the director's house, and then until you had your 5 parties booked, and the hostesses, and they called the hostesses, would they give you your starter kit? Okay, I'm so glad Karen didn't do that. Okay, so I am since I'm not a highly organized person, I am strategic, but I'm strategic with people, not necessarily with numbers. I wasn't as good as Cindy was with inventory. I kind of messed up a little bit on it. I had to figure it out and get it down, and I wouldn't have been that far in debt if I was really good at it. So I had to it had to become important enough for me to figure out how to do this that I had to get myself set up. So I messed up a few times with kind of bankrupting myself a little bit, like spending too much of my money on bills that were necessary that should have gone back into product that was necessary. So I had to get myself back centered again and go back after it again. So I learned my money management as I did it. I didn't really know it prior. I had learned it as I did it, but it was important enough for me to figure out how to stop messing up and get myself on track to figure it out. But here's the other part of it. I wrote this down only because a lot of what I learned how to do is because Karen took pieces of paper and wrote things down for me, and then I kept the paper. So just like I showed my dad the dual marketing plan because she had it for me, she had the inventory stuff all written down for me too. And then that's how I kind of even showed it to my grandmother. But so here's the reason I'm putting this is because these were all of our bills, and our bills came to $1,000 a month, and my take-home pay from teaching school was $800 a month. So when I looked at a Mary Kay loan payment on the top of all of this, that's why it freaked me out, obviously. But this is what I want you. So when I did my parties, I'm going to tell you how this happened for me. I was doing my 5 and only had 2, and I needed to have my 5 because I wanted my PS pin. Like I wanted that PS pin that hung from your Mary Kay pin, and perfect start. And so I booked 3 parties on a Saturday, one after another, one at 2, one at 5, one at 8. And my mom did have a party for me, reluctantly. The lady from the dry cleaner, who I just knew from going in there, her name was Doris. Honest to goodness, her name was Doris. I went in, I said, Doris, I'm starting a business. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just learning. Would you consider having a party for me so that I can figure this out? She's like, sure. So she had a party for me, and my mother-in-law had a party for me. And so I had boom, 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 boom on a Saturday to do that. So here was the good thing, because since I'm a I personality and a feeler, if I would have been able to, my parties would have lasted 4 hours. But since I had one at 2 and one at 5 and one at 8, I had to be on it. Wow. I had to figure out how to do it. I had to do the individual consultations. I had to pack it up. I had to get to the next one. Wow. I had to drive to the next one. So I got really good but here's the difference. Like she learned the how to do the flip chart. Like she memorized how to do the flip chart. I watched my director do one party, and I wanted to take the flip chart out of her hands and do it myself. So that was the difference in our confidence. I was a school teacher who was like, give me this thing. I could do this so much better. And she was amazing. Like that's how cocky I was in my confidence of doing a party. So I wasn't afraid of doing a party. I was challenged by getting them all into place and getting off and going. So doing all right, when I came home, so Ryan was waiting for me at the door, and he was like, so how did it go? And how much money did you, like, I was like, I sold a lot of stuff. Like, I have no idea, but you're going from party, party, party. So since I'm disorganized, he was like, well, where's your stuff, your product and everything? I go, well, it's in the trunk of the car. So we went to the trunk of the car. He opens up the trunk of the car. Pink tickets are flying all over the place. And he's like, oh my gosh. I go, don't worry about the pink tickets. I got the money right here. Like, I've got the money here. I'm not gonna let the money fly all over. He's like, okay. So we added it all up, and he said, okay, how much? 50%? I said, yes. He goes, Stacy, you just made more money today than you make teaching school all week long. Like you just made, right here in our hands. Back then we didn't do credit cards. Right. It was cash, and it was checks. And so he said, all right, do you have more? Like,
can you do some more of these parties?
I'm like, I booked for the next Saturday. Like, so what I did, my goal was, this became my goal. My first party, I was going to book my next 3 for the next Sunday. I started doing it Sunday because Saturdays were my days to Sundays. I went to church, got dressed, thought I'm going to do parties on Sundays. So my goal was that for my first party, I would book my next 3. So I'd say, all right, here's the deal. We can do this 2 ways. It can, we're going to do your checkup facial, book your checkup facial, individual consultation. It can be just you and me, or it can be you and me and free. Which would you prefer? Free sounds good. Free sounds good. Let me explain that. Yes. Okay. We just had a party today. Sally was the hostess. We book you for either 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 8 o'clock next Sunday, whichever's best for you. And then you have 5 women there, and I would give her $10 worth of Mary Kay product for each person. who was there. And so for me, with 5 women, so actually I really promoted 6 women, but for 5 women there, that was $50. It was only $25 my cost to do that. And then this was how, okay, so she would say, I'll have a party. So I would book it. And then I would say, so then when I called everybody who would come, because we would call every single person, she would give me her names by Monday night. So on Monday night, after my success meeting, I would go home because we didn't have cell phones, and I would walk right into my bedroom. That was my office. And I called the women that my hostesses had given me names. And this is what I said to them. I would say, Linda, this is Stacy James, and I am the consultant that's going to be holding Cindy's party on Sunday at 2:00. And she told me that she invited you, and this is what I want you to know. I want you to know that Cindy is going to get a whole bunch of free stuff because she's holding a party. She's the hostess, but she's only going to get free stuff based on your being there. She's not going to get free stuff based on how much product you buy. It's based on you being there. So I know that you're a woman of your word, and we're going to have so much fun. And the reason why is because the only other party institution at that point was Tupperware, and Tupperware is all about how much you sold, you got a percentage of. And I know that there were times that my mom wouldn't go to Tupperware parties because she was going to be expected to buy for the hostess to get credit, and she didn't want to feel guilty. So I just said, you need to be there, because if they would be there, I would sell a product. I wasn't going to sell them if they're there. I wanted to get them there. So that's how I did my hostess credit. I kind of made it up. I did it the way that, so my goal, I would have 3 women from my 2:00 already booked my Sunday. And then when I would do my 5:00 party, I would just have them all come to my Monday night success meeting and be my feature model. And I would do their checkup facial at the success meeting. So I had women at my success meeting doing their checkup facials because we did a party at the beginning of every success meeting. I had my parties booked for the next week, and that just rolled and it rolled and it rolled. And I really didn't know how powerful that was going to be. But here's the cool thing. Every single week, my highest sales on Sunday was my 8:00 party. Every single week, different people, different hostesses. Why? Because I got more confident.
Good.
Yeah. So, and even after I'd been doing it every week, I still was good. But by the time I'd hit my 8:00 party, my 2 was great. We get my parties, do my 5, was having a blast. 8:00, bam, they didn't have a chance. Like I was on it. I was excited. But see, people buy according to your confidence and your passion and your love for what you're doing. They receive that and they respond. People always respond. It's like somebody doing your hair. If somebody goes, I'd like to try this on your hair, but I'm not really sure it's going to work. I'm like, this one. Versus you sit down in a woman's chair and she's like, I've been thinking about you all day. I know exactly the look I want to do on you. It's going to be fabulous. Are you ready? You'd go like, I'm buckling up, buttercup. Yes. So it's the confidence that causes them to listen differently to you. And so when I learned that, then I was like, I've got to get myself in that at my 2:00. I've got to so it was. And then you get evidence, because the more women you sell to who love the product, whose skin is changing, who are so excited, then the more that just builds it. And then it just kept flowing from that. So that's the momentum. So at the end of that school year, that's when I walked in my principal's office, told him I wasn't signing my contract because I knew I wanted to be a sales director. I love selling the product because of the money, but when I would go to the success meetings and watch those directors, I'm like, I'm in it. Just like taking the flip chart, I was like, give me the microphone. I want the microphone.
Wow.
So that was my desire to be a director. Like I wanted to lead. So I was actually more excited about the recruiting part of it than the sales part of it. I did the sales part of it. I mastered it. I tapped it out. But the recruiting lit my heart up. So when I left my teaching position, then I had time during the day, and I went from doing the 3 on Sunday to doing more during the day, during the week, because I'd never had the luxury of being able to do that when I was teaching school. So I kind of shifted that around, and then, and
here we are.
Yeah.
Wow. But we started very different. I was paranoid of the microphone. I had to memorize every word. I would never wing anything because I was so afraid. And I didn't want to be a director. I did for a long time because I was afraid. So, but I still did the work. Here we are today, Inner Circle Nationals. Similar starts. similar finishes, but how we got here was unique to who we are, our DNA. So don't compare yourself, just contrast. Stacy taught me that, like the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow, purple and green. Green isn't prettier than purple, but when they're side by side, they're more vibrant and they're better. So I just encourage you, DNA, do not argue with your creator, with your quirkiness. She's high in strategy. My last strength is strategy. But together we're better. So I guess my best advice, and we have to shift because we got our career breakfast. I would love to chat all day. So number one, thanks for joining in. Let me look at that one little piece of paper. Oh, you're perfect. Here. Tomorrow, November 14th, everyone can order the Time Wise Serum C plus E. It's very high end. I will just tell you before you just start using it every day, it is an exfoliating product. So I did it every day without reading anything, and it made me peel like crazy.
Really?
My skin, everybody's different, but that's why you're a beauty consultant. You're not a beauty teller or a beauty seller. You're a beauty consultant. So you need to learn the products, especially as we get into more cosmeceuticals. Don't be afraid of them, but you are the testing ground. So as you use everything, the new liquid lip colors that she's actually super crazy about because they stay on. She wore it at my wedding. That's what she has on. I hadn't even opened it yet because I can't hardly handle toffee and sunset. That's just me. I don't want any more products.
That's great.
I know, but everybody's got to know who you are and try what you want to try. But there's 2, 9 to 5, and that's liquid lip color. Top that and Red Envy. That's more the day. Then the other line is called Night Out, very strong and Red Alert. Then there's 3 crayons in the At Play. There's Sculpted 1 and Sculpted 2. And it's actually quite clever how they show on InTouch. They make the dot, and then they take round, that round brush for the blending brush, that little flat one. You blend that out. So if you like to play with all that stuff, there's 2 colors. And then Rose Gold Glow is the highlighter pencil.
Yeah, but on my lips right now is the taupe that. And I've got the Rose Gold Glow over that on my lips. It's a highlighter, but it is gorgeous.
It's also pretty on your eyes. So these crayons, for some people, she really loves makeup.
I do.
And she loves, her hair's changed ever since. I mean, she always, and she has 14 outfits here for the weekend. I'm just telling you, this girl is never going to open any of those crayons or that lipstick. I'm just not. I can't handle it in my brain. It adds a new thing for me to make a decision on. But to thine own self be true. I'm just being honest with y'all. But then that new perfume, the Illuminea, and the
Do you want me to grab it?
I have it. See that clear box, and then we'll close out. There's the new perfume is permanent line. I'm just telling you, this is going to sell in the little round tub, the souffle, because I'm going to just say it out loud. Sex sells. Okay, look at Victoria's Secret. This is a sexy fragrance. When you talk about it, especially to the men, I would sell this to every man, and the women that are going to buy it, I would say, do not wear this during the day. It's dangerous. This is only when it gets dark. I mean, I'm just telling you, this product, some of our perfumes say, let's go for a ride with the top down and have a picnic. This one says, baby, park the car. Okay. Oh, that's that. See, that's that little, so pretty. It's called the rose gold something. Well, I see Stacy has it out already and putting it on. And look how magnificent. She couldn't wait to try it. And then there's the souffle. This is permanent line. Illuminea means light. You light up the room. You light up my world. You light up my life, right? And this one is the body souffle, which I dig body creams. Last year when they came out with the satin hands, the body care one, I call it body butter. I ordered 30 for myself, 30. So this one, that it's a souffle.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty.
It's unbelievable. So take your little spatula and you can put some on the back of people's hands to let them try it. But this is going to be a game changer for Christmas, because fragrance is a fabulous gift. I would mainly target men, and I would say, what's it worth to you when she's really, really happy? Because she's going to be happy with this. But you need to tell them this is dangerous perfume. This is the highest level of perfume oil that you can buy. It's called Extrait de Parfum, which means it has, well, I don't know, I can't find the piece of paper, but it's the It's the most richest fragrance we've ever made. I think it smells like rich people. I know people laugh at me, but people that are just really rich, they always smell different.
Like you? You're very rich.
But I don't wear any perfume until this. And I'm only going to wear this when I'm serious. So your man is going to know when you pull this out, it's going to be a good night. Okay. That's how I would sell it. And so, it's
wealthy
people.
A wealthy
okay.
person.
My last little tip that I'm going to share is when we're doing, a lot of us are doing booths and we're doing festivals, and I have a brand new team member and she's got her open house planned. She's a brand new consultant, Ruthie. And I told her recruiter, Lori, who's on, I said, be careful. Ruthie doesn't have any customers. So are they really going to come? Because they don't know the product yet. Open houses really only work successfully when you have customers that already know the product and they want to come see it. And so as we go into the holiday season and you have opportunities for festivals, fall festivals, setting up a table, a booth, I hope that you will do that. But I want you to do it with a new thought, because just getting names and numbers in a drawing and your follow-up, it's too much trouble. So yesterday I was coaching Lori and I came up with this idea. I want to share it with you. If I were you, since we're doing mostly Zoom parties and Facebook parties, and we do have samples in Europe, they're watching, they have no samples, zero. So they cannot send people a sample. They have no samples. They're not going to have samples. So they've had to figure it out. But we in America, we can get samples. So I would make swag bags with the Time Wise for dry skin, with a charcoal mask and a microderm for oily skin, with the charcoal mask and microderm for the repair system, with the repair strip and the hydroglycolic skin refacial peeling, blah, blah, blah. Put them in your Mary Kay bags. Tie a purple ribbon on the oily, a pink ribbon on the dry, and a gold or silver ribbon on the repair. Now you have a basket of your swag bags. And when you're at a booth, you can tell people, we would love to share this product with you. And if you get your date book out and have it highlighted with the dates that you're available from now until December, whatever, this holiday season. And if they go ahead and write their name in your date book and select a date, they can have a swag bag. But it's going to say, do not open, just like Christmas, the anticipation. Do not open, because we're going to open it and actually do the product. You're going to experience. You would have a display of your repair and your Time Wise there, but you're not going to sell it. You're selling the appointment. Just like Stacy sold the people, just show up. You're selling the appointment, and these festivals can be successful. Then you would say, well, do you have any fun friends that would want a swag bag too? Right? And so that's how you get the guest list, because they want their swag bags. So just start working a little smarter in this season. We used to just do the booth, give away a satin handset, get everybody's names and numbers and follow up. Oh my God, shoot myself. You're booking me now. I'm moving on. And I would go ahead and color code your date book. Highlight yellow for your sunshine, whether you're going to church virtually or in person, or your Bible study time. Highlight blue for your family time, because you're blue when you're not with your family. Highlight green for your income producing activities. Highlight pink this morning. This is pink time. You didn't make any money, but you're investing in your future. Take your date book and highlight it. Do your 6 most important things every night. Make your weekly plan sheet. Whether it's 3 parties on Sunday, think of your lead generation. Who do you know? Who have you not asked yet? Acres of diamonds. They're right next door. Have you really met and facialed your neighbors? Are you just out there looking for the stranger? You already know people. Christmas selling. I number one do business with people that do business with me. And so all the people, all the men that you know, I was just talking with somebody, maybe Lori. She said, well, I don't know any men, but she was getting her car fixed. And I said, well, is it a girl mechanic that's fixing your car? And she was like, no, it's a guy. I was like, well, do you know men? I was like, what does that mean? You don't know any men? So, but we don't know any men. They're going to buy Mary Kay from us. That's the way we think about it. So start thinking a new thought. Take on the mantle of Stacy and me. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to shift and we're going to do career breakfast. Thank God for Susan Moore. Susan's the reason we're doing Super Saturdays, because she's Susan Moore. Right. Oh my God. And she's also so generous with prompting me. Stacy and I were talking this morning. We're generous with prompting each other how to be our best. If you want to be a great team player, a great team leader, you want to lead a successful team to the top of Mary Kay, you've got to be a great team player. So what are you doing to reach out to support your sales director today? It's good. I'm just telling you, what you cast upon the water is going to come back in ways that you will never even quite understand. How can we be sitting here today as millionaires, as best friends?
Take it seriously.
Seeing the world, creating a life that most can only imagine, Well, it goes back to the beginning.
Right. I remember Maxine Sandvik saying one time, she said, the commonality of all the inner circle at that point when she was in the inner circle, she's in Maritime now, is that they didn't yo-yo. They didn't yo-yo, like they didn't hit and miss. They weren't like they did great and then they took 2 or 3 weeks and kind of wandered around. Like we stayed on it. This was serious for us. This was our foundational income. This was our future. This was growing. And the more serious you take it, the more priority it becomes in your life as far as other things. You shift things around it so that you can absolutely, for sure. Like if I were on my job, I had to go to my job. Everyone understood when I took my business seriously, everybody responded differently to me as well. So it's what we both did.
And we know you can do it too.
Absolutely.
That's the key. We're giving you the gift, passing it on. So this I'm going to post on our website, Cindy Williams NSD. It'll be the password is victory, all lowercase. It's under training, Super Saturdays. And I'll put the little icon of me and Stacy so you can go back and listen, or you can share this. Some people, this is what they need to hear to see if they want to be a part of Mary Kay. Who do you know that's a great teacher, but is done with the politics and all of the things that they're dealing with today? Who do you know like me that just really needed a place to be recognized and loved? Right. I didn't even understand the money. I didn't care if I didn't have any money, really. I could live in a hut. I just wanted peace in my home and to be accepted and encouraged and loved. So who do you know that needs that? Tag, you're it. You're the only Bible some people will ever read, and you're the only Mary Kay some people will ever know. So you have about 10 minutes if you want to have them zoom back in with us to be a part of our career breakfast. I love your glasses. They're mine.
They're hers. I like them. I think I want them.
Oh, you can have them.
Okay.
They're prescription, so you may want to get your own.
It's making me a little dizzy.
Yeah, they're prescription. But just also I'm being frugal. I found these are I buy direct. They're super cheap, but they're prescription.
Are your pink ones in there?
Yeah, all of them. I have like 10 pair because when I had to go get prescription, I went to the store and they wanted $300, the cheapest pair of glasses. And I was like, I'm not paying $300 for glasses because I'm going to sit on them or lose them. I'm used to readers. So I went and Googled it and I found a place where I can buy prescription and I got several colors. So I can still treat them like yours. Okay, we're going to sign off. We love you. Thank you for signing in. I'll look at all the comments later on the recording. I couldn't do that and be present for y'all too. Yeah. Thanks, Monica. Thanks for coming in from the Netherlands. You got this, girl. Thank you for your text this morning, okay? Amanda, Garland, would you please go rock your business? I love you. You're a beast. Beast mode, baby. Okay, stop.
You're so great.